Welcome back, students and viewers. You just now saw the income statement, balance sheet, common size income statement, common size balance sheet, and the cash flow statements. Uh, and we have done it through the spreadsheet. Now it is done for the other financial statement analysis, that is ratio analysis. And once we finish the ratio analysis, will see the DuPont analysis. So ratio analysis and DuPont analysis also very comfortably we can do through the financial model, and it will be very helpful and very time saving approach. Let us do it. In the ratio analysis is creating the relationship between two items, so two or more items. How we do that? We have standard formulas for each ratio. Every company must be seen from different parameters. Like for example, company must be seen from profitability parameter, from liquidity parameter. Just let me write down here some of the parameters. So yeah, so the parameters which we see for making analysis of a company as an analyst, it is very important to see what are the parameters you are testing for judging a company. They may be the liquidity, one of the very important parameter of liquidity analysis. Similarly, profitability analysis, and solvency analysis. Similarly, the turnover analysis, and the kind of the market value ratios, market analysis. So many such parameters we can use, and of course DuPont analysis is always there. So many such parameters are there, and for each analysis there are couple of ratios. Like for liquidity analysis, we see the current ratio, liquid ratio, then cash ratio, kind of. Similarly, for profitability analysis, we see gross profit margin, net profit margin, operating profit margin. For solvency analysis, we see debt equity ratio, debt asset ratio, and the list goes on. For turnover analysis, we see the inventory turnover ratio, days in inventory, receivable turnover ratio, days in receivables, payable turnover ratio, days in payable, cash conversion cycle. All these things we see in the turnover analysis. Market analysis, we can see the uh, debt equity ratio. In the market analysis, we make the price earning ratio, price to book value ratio, price to cash flow ratio, price to sales ratio, enterprise value ratio, and the list goes on. So the ratios only so many means calculating them takes a lot of time, isn't it? So to save the time, we use the help of financial models. Let us do it in the financial model, how we can do all these kind of analysis. Let us go to the ratio analysis now. So first we will see the profitability analysis or profitability ratios. In the profit analysis can be replicated with ratios. They are synonym. So profitability ratios we have three. What I have done, each ratio I have written here, formula I have written in the comments, and the modeling we have done here. So you see here, and it is only 2 years. So maybe sometime you need to do it for 5 years, 7 years. So and draw a trend line. All these things becomes easier in financial modeling, and so many we can draw charts and so many kind of analytical tools we can use further. So let us use the profitability ratios. The first one is gross margin or gross profit ratio. The formula itself denotes us that this is a relationship of profit margin. So profit margin is created in relation with sales. So gross profit divided by sales. When you talk about operating profit margin, operating profit divided by sales. When you talk about net profit margin, net income divided by sales. So here our sales is the common denominator. So what we will do, we will go to the particular ratio and gross profit margin is equal to gross profit and divided by sales. Let us go to the income statement because both of them will be available in the income statement. So gross profit divided by the sales. You know, the sales is the common denominator for all the three ratios. So what I will do in the same column, so I need not, if same column, you need not freeze the column. If same row, need not freeze the row. So here same column, so I need not freeze the row, click F4 twice, then only the 107th row will be freezed and enter. Once you do that, simply come down, select the range, Control D. What happened here? Just a minute. Gross profit divided by, yeah, correct. B109 divided by B107, correct. So you see now, come to the ratio please. I just cross-checked it. So gross margin, then operating margin, operating profit, but B107 freezed here, sales. Net profit margin, net profit divided by sales, but it is positive. Yeah, this is what the correct one is. And just Control R. Then you see now the column B has been automatically shifted to column C, and the sales is shifted to column C. So we can do now. Yeah. So all right, students, and let us go to the liquidity ratio. There again, we have current asset divided by current liability. That is, the ratio talks about B85 divided by B$94. You know, current asset divided by current liability. We get both the things, and in quick ratio, you have current, just a minute, quick ratio, let us first see the formula. Current ratio, the formula is current asset divided by current liability. Quick ratio, current asset minus inventory divided by current liability. Cash ratio, cash divided by current liability. Again, denominator we will keep as same. Numerator only we need to change. So we need to see the current ratio is equal to B85 divided by B94. B85 here is 85, that is the current asset, divided by current liability, the B94. And because you see we need not change the column, that's why we kept released and row only we freezed. Then we got the ratio as current ratio. And once you do that, simply uh, Control D, you will get the quick ratio and cash ratio. Similarly, we can just shift to the right, then you will get the Control R, then you fill the 2015 also. So I think the liquidity ratio is clear to all of you, and let us now once we prepare the profit margin, how can we comment the profit margin? You can very much see in the common size statement, simply you said the margin is 17.84 and the net profit margin is 1.07. Here in the ratio you created and you have shown this, this is the kind of thing. And now the current ratio and quick ratio. Current ratio is improving, but it is more or less same. Quick ratio 1.13 to 1.20. That means it is like the quick ratio means current asset minus inventory. So inventory is being reduced. If you remember, we have discussed in the common size statement that the company has reduced inventory. Once it reduced inventory, quick ratio improved. You can see here, you can show it to the management that we have controlled the inventory. Because of control in the inventory, it is very much visible in the quick ratio. And the cash ratio, we have reduced some of the cash balance, cash holding. That's why cash ratio became 0.69, became 0.67. Normally the range says 0.5 to 0.5 cash ratio will be sufficient for an organization. So here 0.69 was there. It tried to reduce little, that is 0.67. So this way you can give the kind of comments. Now, accounts receivable days. Accounts receivable days is equal to the accounts receivable divided, here the ratios are being mentioned, accounts receivable divided by average daily sales. Inventory turnover ratio is equal to cost of goods sold divided by inventory. Inventory days is equal to inventory divided by average daily cost of goods sold. Accounts payable days is equal to accounts payable divided by average daily cost of goods sold. Cash conversion cycle is equal to the accounts receivable days plus inventory days minus accounts payable days. We'll be telling you how many days you are taking to convert your cash conversion cycle. Lowest is the better. And I can write down here, edit comment, lowest is the better, is the better sign. And I'll just copy this and write down in other, sorry. So you can see, for example, inventory days. Again, edit comment, lowest is better. And accounts payable days, edit comment, higher is better. And which one? Fixed asset turnover, we can edit comment, because this is all turnovers, so highest is better. Highest is better. Total asset turnover, highest is better. Highest is better. Highest is better. So accounts payable we have done. Which one? Inventory days we have done. Inventory turnover. Inventory turnover comment. Highest is better. Is better. And accounts receivable days. Edit comment. Accounts receivable days. Lowest is better. So this way we can see here the inventory receivable days, accounts receivable days. Formula is receivable divided by daily sales. How we do that? Receivable divided by total sales divided by 365. So receivable divided by total sales, that is B107, divided by 365. So that will give you the accounts receivable days. Once you do that, just extend to the how many years you want. Control R, you will fill the data for other years. All automatically it will calculate. Then in first you writing all these things, making the arrangement, preparing the financial model, writing the formulas one time is important. After that, just going on extending. Inventory turnover ratio is cost of goods sold divided by inventory. Simply, cost of goods sold is B108 divided by inventory is B84. Cost of goods sold comes from income statement. B84 inventory comes from the balance sheet. Next is your inventory days. Inventory divided by average daily cost of goods sold. So this is inventory B84. As you know, it comes from the balance sheet, and cost of goods sold comes from the income statement, and per day means total cost of goods sold divided by 365 days. Similarly, you can calculate payables days, payables divided by cost of goods sold per day. Payables divided by cost of goods sold per day. Then how you do it? The payable comes from the balance sheet. B92 payables comes from the balance sheet, and cost of goods sold is B108 divided by 365. So this is the way cash conversion cycle is equal to in the receivable days for inventory days minus payable days will give you the cash conversion cycle. You can see here excellent performance by the company. The cash conversion cycle is only 3 days for the company around and 2015 it is minus 3 days. So definitely this is very interesting kind of the company is improving. Still the profitability is not improving. That means the selling general administration expenses is eating the share of net income. So company has to be very careful. Now question is fixed asset turnover ratio. So fixed asset turnover ratio is equal to sales divided by fixed asset. Highest is the better. The company is generating 165% of the fixed asset as sales, and it is 217% in 2015. So the fixed asset turnover got reduced this time. It's not a good sign. Next is a total asset turnover. Again, the the how much percentage sales you are generating of the total asset. 109 or 110% of the total asset you are generating as sales, which was last year 137%, 136.62% or 137%. That means both fixed as FAT and TAT. Normally we call these two ratios very popularly, these two ratios. As for me, I have given them name FAT and this one as TAT. This should be high is always better, and the company is getting these ratios are getting reduced. So the company has to be serious, and it has to work for improving the fixed asset turnover and total asset turnover. So this is all about asset efficiencies. Then we will see about interest coverage ratio, which is about how much time of the interest you are earning. That is the coverage ratio. How much time of the interest you are earning. How much EBIT is how much time of the interest. EBITDA is how much time of the interest. And the comment we can edit here, and is this edit comment, insert comment, highest is better, high is better, and we'll copy this, we will insert a comment here, high is better. So more the coverage, better it is. You can see the formula itself is written here. That's why I have not written the formula. EBIT divided by interest will be the interest EBIT interest coverage 1.35, 1.54. You see the interest coverage ratio comparing to EBIT going down, and it is not very high and going down. The reason is 2016 they have taken a lot of long-term loan. Because of that, interest burden increased. Because interest burden increased, the interest EBIT interest coverage decreased. Then EBIT plus depreciation amortization divided by interest will be the EBITDA interest coverage, and it is 1.51 in 2016, 1.78 in 2015. This is also going down, not a good trend. So you have to alert your top management. They have to be serious in this regard. Next is leverage ratio for the company. Here is the book debt to equity ratio. So we can see here book debt to equity ratio. The formulas are given here. The book value of total debt divided by book value of total equity. That will be book debt to equity ratio, as the formula itself makes it clear. Market debt to equity ratio, unless otherwise market normally debt is book value, market value remains the same. Unless otherwise it is traded, we can take book value of debt as market value of debt. So market value of total debt divided by book value of total equity. Then we have the book value to capital ratio, which is total debt divided by total debt plus total equity. When we are talking about debt, we are taking the long term debt here. Debt to enterprise value, you know enterprise value formula. Debt to enterprise value, the formula is total debt minus cash, that is net debt. Net debt in the numerator, you can see in the first formula is net debt divided by enterprise value. Net debt means total debt minus cash. Enterprise value means market capitalization plus book value of debt minus cash. Last lecture we have seen this. So net debt to enterprise value and equity multiplier, total asset divided by total equity, and enterprise value here, because enterprise value will be used in down also. So I have created one for calculating the enterprise value, that is market capitalization plus book value of debt minus cash. So here being calculated, book debt to equity ratio, debt equity ratio increased. You see, from 3.68 it increased to 5.10. The reason is last 2016 we have seen there is a substantial increase in the long-term debt. Next is market debt to equity ratio. Here also we take the same book value of debt and market value of the debt same. That's why the ratio remains same. Debt to capital ratio, that is debt divided by debt plus equity. It is 0.84 and it was 0.79. Debt to enterprise value is not very high, so company must be working in this regard. Equity multiplier is 7.66. This is equity multiplier is very important because it will be used in the DuPont analysis. Total asset divided by total equity. It is improved in 2016. Enterprise value is 126 million, which was 93.5 in 2015. Return on so I think leverage ratios are clear to all of you, and taking the leverage ratio, company can make a decision about the capital structure, whether we should increase the long-term debt or decrease the long-term debt. In this case, for this company, global enterprise, they should be careful increasing further debt. Operating returns, you can see here three ratios are there. Return on equity, that is net income divided by total equity. Return on asset, net income plus interest expenses divided by total asset. Then ROIC, ROIC is the very important ratio. Most of the analysts they use it. ROIC calculates the EBIT 1 minus tax divided by total equity plus net debt. So let us calculate one by one. Return on equity is net income divided by shareholder equity, which got improved. Return on asset also got improved, 5.70, 5.04. And return on ROIC got improved, 6.86. So operating returns of the company is pretty well. But the question arises, if you see the common size statement also, this is being represented. You see the common size statement here. So yeah, common size statement is given here. Up to operating income, it was 5.57. But the main pressure the company faced here in the interest expenses, minus 4.12. And this became because you have taken a lot of loan in 2016. You can go through the balance sheet here. Long-term loan increased from 60% to 66.55%. Around 6% loan increased. So the interest percentage also increased by around 2%. Therefore, the pressure came there. That's why when we are talking about operating returns, return on equity, net income total equity, return on asset, ROEs, all these things got improved in 2016 comparing to 2015. Because in the total asset, in numerator we add the interest expenses. That's why it got improved. And ROEs also, it is about EBIT, not the net income. That's why all these things got improved because they are talking about the operational income. When you are talking about the net income, it is getting affected, pressure is there. So the last category of ratio is valuation ratios, which is talking about the market values, like market to book ratio we have seen in the last lecture, market value of equity divided by book value of the total equity. So market value to book value 1.62. If it is very high, it is a growth company. If it is low, it is a value company. Here we can find it is a value company. Again, it is decreasing, so it is a value company. PE ratio, that is share price divided by share price divided EPS. So price per share divided by earning per share. So PPS divided by EPS. So 18 times it is taken as the X, 18x and 18.95. So 15 to 20 PE is taken as very reasonable for a value company. Enterprise value, the ratio is enterprise value divided by EBITDA. Enterprise value you have calculated here, EBITDA, so enterprise value divided by EBITDA 10.86. Enterprise value ratio taking the EBIT 12.12. So you can see the enterprise to EBITDA, enterprise to EBIT, all are getting decreasing. So should be little careful. So these are the kind of ratios. Enterprise value to sales also being calculated here. So all the ratios are being taken, almost most of the ratios we have taken here, but for a detailed list you can refer the book for getting more and more ratios. If any question you can ask me. Now go to the PowerPoint again please. We have three different analysis normally we do. One is common size statement, then ratio analysis, then extending the ratio analysis. This is called DuPont analysis. DuPont analysis, basically a company called DuPont, as all of us know, it first started this analysis. That's why we call this ratio as DuPont analysis ratio. Here, the return on equity is decomposed. Return on equity is decomposed here. Return on equity decomposed here, so that we can know where we are into three more ratio, into basically three more ratio. Further, it is extended to five more ratios, three more ratios. So we'll take that three more ratios here. So let us do it in the spreadsheet, in the modeling, how we do it. DuPont identity is nothing but it is the, as we have taken here, the we'll add a comment here. So return on equity is decomposed into three more ratios. What are the three more ratios? They are, we can edit the comment. What are the three ratios? One is return on equity, net profit margin. The second one is total asset turnover. And the third one is equity multiplier or financial leverage. Third one is equity multiplier or financial leverage. Financial leverage. So these are the three ratios. the ROE decomposed into three more ratios, and those three more ratios are net profit margin, total asset turnover, and equity multiplier. So, just a minute. Okay. Let us, we have all these ratios we already calculated, isn't it? Net profit margin. We need not calculate separately again. This is nothing but B196. In B196, we have calculated net profit margin. Can you see here? B196 is for net profit margin. Okay. Now, let us go to the total asset turnover. Total asset turnover we have calculated in B210. To know which cell is being used, you can click F2. F2 will tell you which cell is being used here. So, DuPont analysis for the second ratio composition, decomposition, total asset turnover, we have calculated in 210. So, in 210, if we see, total asset turnover is being calculated. Then, for financial leverage or equity multiplier, we have used B221. So, in 221, we have calculated the equity multiplier. Equity multiplier is 7.66. We have calculated here. So, again, let me go to the editing of the comments. How it is decomposed? It is decomposed like this. So, ROE is equal to return on equity is equal to net profit margin multiplied by total asset turnover multiplied by equity multiplier. And you can just extend this little, and ROE formula you all know. Can you just remember the ROE formula? Net income divided by total equity is the ROE formula, is equal to net profit margin, or you know, net income divided by sales. Net income divided by sales, and multiplied by total asset turnover is equal to sales divided by total asset, multiplied with the equity multiplier is equal to total asset divided by total equity. And how we do this? You see, net profit margin, net income divided by sales, sales divided total asset divided total equity, that is equal to ROE, net income divided by total equity. Just go to the PowerPoint, please. PowerPoint slide number 40. In your case, slide number will be little different. Just go. All these ratios formula is given in the PowerPoints. You can use it, and it is given for manufacturing industry, retail industry, service industry, and Standard & Poor 500 in US. All the industries ratios are being provided here. You can see this slide number 41, 42, 43, 44, 45 gives you all details of the ratios, and you can use it for the particular industry of US, different industries, what are the ratios. Then certain ratios are being calculated as question. We have calculated almost all ratios for global, so I need not take them here. So all these things we have calculated, and same answer will come in our financial, it should come same in the financial model. So this is all about kind of thing. Now let us go to the last slide, that is DuPont analysis. DuPont analysis, ROE is equal to net income divided by total equity. Mathematically now it is explained here. How? Just see, net income divided by total equity. Now this particular formula is multiplied by sales divided by sales. Anything multiplied divided by the same thing, no difference in value. But by changing the place values, we can now rewrite the formula like net income divided by sales, sales divided by total equity. And that again multiplied by total asset divided by total asset. First time when it is derived like this. Again, rechanging the place values, net income divided by sales, which is not net profit margin, sales divided by total asset turnover, total asset divided by total equity, that is the equity multiplier. So this way, and finally it comes to total asset, sales cancels, total asset cancels, then the final formula will be net income divided by total equity. This is the way we have done it. Let us go through, cross check whether we have taken the net profit margin, total asset turnover. We have just taken the values already calculated, and the ROE came as, after multiplying, the DuPont analysis says ROE is 9%, and it is coming here as correct. Why it is coming as correct? Because here there is a if statement is being placed here. If E F2, just a minute. If E237 is equal to E225, 237 is the DuPont and 225 is the calculated formula for return on equity using the formula net income divided by shareholder equity. So here calculated by formula, here calculated by DuPont. If you have committed some error somewhere, this will not match with each other. For example, what I will do, instead of 1.207%, for example, I put it 2%. You see, it came as wrong. Automatically it came as wrong. Why it came as wrong? Because the net profit margin is not the same which should be used here. So it came as wrong. So I changed it to 1.07. So it is correct now. So this is the way we have finished the ratio analysis also in ratio analysis and DuPont analysis in the spreadsheet. To take more question, let me stop the recording and we will go for taking more question. Just a minute.